to my loom, my darling. It's the Wake Up Show. Oh my God, and you guys are awake. That's so great. Welcome to the basement of the dream where I, with my great technician, Mark, produce our wonderful show every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Highlight of the week. Now, I read on the news today that at approximately the same time as we, launch our wonderful rocket of love into the stratospheres of humanity, that NASA has also sent some sort of robot device car as a rover to Mars, which might be landing any second now. And also in Norwegian news here in Norway, there has been a lot of talk about that there are many components and stuff and parts of this device that was made in Norway. That's pretty crazy, right? Who knew that you could make something in one part of the globe and then you could send it to a different part and then they could put it together and send it into space and that's gonna be like the thing we talk about? I have noticed that any human being and probably also robot who goes into space, when they see this blue marble from outside, they say, some parts made where and some assembled what? This is just one small thing where all of us are connected. We're in this together, man. It's not like someone is doing something and someone else wasn't invited. We're all in this together on this round spaceship that's hurtling to space. And the achievements of one are the achievements of all. Rejoice. We are going to Mars. Would you go to Mars? Of course. My guest is nodding ever so. Maybe, yeah, maybe. How about you, Mark? Would you? You're just gonna ignore the question like it never happened? Is it a one-way ticket, you think? Well, for the robot. Poor robot. Well, he'll get the view at least of the Earth looking like a small blue dot, maybe. I don't know. Because Mars looks sort of red. Have to go there to see. Also, there was something in the news about Norway, Canada, and the UK, where they're sort of pushing, zero emissions, making the world a great place. And then it turns out we're also exporting lots of oil and fossil fuels, while at the same time claiming that our hands are clean, and people are upset, or are they not upset? Well, I'll tell you a little secret. I don't care. I don't care, man. All I care about is this lovely thing called humanity. We're talking together and connecting with each other and not arguing about who started, who ended it. We need to... Didn't we stop the blame game last? We stopped the blame game last year. That's so 2020, my God. Yes, we have polluted. Yes, we have fucked up majorly in many aspects of life. But that's because we are humans. And we learn, and we evolve, and we grow. And we start the show with a bang. Run the intro.
Live from the dream, aka Drummond, it's the Wake Up Show with your host, Wolf Thunder Flitty.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, we got a great show for you guys this fine evening. It's February already. My God, it's great. And you know what's even greater is that you can become a Patreon and support the show. And every day we get up, make this great thing called the Wake Up Show for you wonderful people out on the blue marble hurling to space. And you can be a part of this great journey too. Well, you already are, I guess, but you can support my show because, you know, I had to provide. There's a baby on the way, and I have to feed my family. It's really cold right now, not as cold as in Texas, I've heard, but I think actually that's just something I don't know anything about. But what I do know is that I need more Patreons. And you, my good friend, neighbor, bird or dog, can also support the show. And to all my patrons, I love you guys. And to all non-patrons, I love you too. You know what? We should run that clip where from the newest episode of the UL Experience, which you get if you become a patron, where I, like a bird phoenix, rise out of the ashes of water during winter, reborn anew. Life needs no rehearsal. Every time is game time. Now, obviously, this episode isn't only about me, because I have a wonderful guest here. And this guest is very special to me because, you know, we've done many joyous things together, podcasts, talk shows, whatnot. But in 2020, our roads diverged, and we are now on the separate journeys into the great unknown. And it's such a pleasure to have my great friend Rabbe here tonight. Welcome, Rabbe. Come into the studio, man. Come on, man. Come on.
Hello. Oh, good to see you.
Well, it's great to see you. Grab up a chair and have a seat. Welcome to the studio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and I think the last time you were here, you were still part of the thing, and now you are free as a bird. Now you're just a guest. And
it's so wonderful to be a guest. It's amazing. I can just show up and...
Yeah, you can just show up.
And have a good talk, I think.
I've made a lower third for you.
Mm-hmm.
It says... Which one would you like? Would you want the fancy one or the regular one? Say the fancy one.
The fancy one.
It wants the fancy one, huh? Aiston Rabbe, the ancient sage from beyond the woods. Ooh.
Nice.
Ooh.
What does that mean?
I don't know, you tell me. It says on the... that's what it says on the note. A sage, I believe, is a very wise person. Beyond the woods. Well, who knows what's beyond the woods, man?
We'll find out.
I guess whoever been beyond the woods will know. If not, you are Øystein Rabbe, the meditator coach. Because you said you wanted to talk about meditation and coaching.
Yeah.
So then I just put those two things there. Now I, on the other hand, am Wolf Thunder Flitty, the next letterman.
Yeah. So what should we talk about then?
Well, now, obviously, it's been a while since we sort of sat down and had a good talk, even though we met for an hour last Saturday.
Yeah, 1 week ago, almost.
Where we sat in silence and it felt like the universe melted. I like that.
Yeah, that's nice.
It was intense.
It was intense, yeah.
Yeah. And now, obviously, I've seen that every Tuesday you do like a live meditation.
Yeah.
Through Zoom.
Yeah.
Or some sort of closed community.
Yeah.
At the exact same time when I dance my hip hop, which I'll.
So you're doing some other kind of meditation.
I'm doing different sort of meditation.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, tell me about this venture into meditation, man. I know that you've been doing meditation for a while, but it sort of seems to have materialized into something very...
It has materialized into something that I wouldn't expect. Going back a little bit, like 1 year back when the lockdown came to this part of the world, I was going through some changes. I was kind of suddenly seeing things more clearly. There was this kind of buzz from life or everyday life that was just gone.
Yeah, it's silence.
And it was silence. And then it really helped me so much to realize, what is it I'm here to do? And one of the things that came up was that also this realization that this kind of big shock that the world was going through wasn't so bad for me, because I've kind of felt that I've tried that before, just internally. So it was more like, yeah, I need to do something, and it was coming from kind of a natural place that, okay, I want to do something. What can I do with what I got right now? And it started like that. Then I was starting on Facebook, having weekly meditations that kind of became first talking about how to find peace, and then shifting into helping people to meditate and find that peace. And then I was doing it for a while, and it kind of summer came along, and I shifted my focus eventually. And it was also kind of weird to an extent, because I was doing it live on Facebook, where I could not I could not really communicate. I realized people were following because they got there was comments, but after every meditation I was like, what happened? Did it work? Did anyone have any experiences? It turned out I had, but it was really weird to just be there delivering without having the feedback.
Yeah, you didn't sort of feel your group, because it was too sort of dropping in and out, and I can see your point.
It was really powerful, and also I did get kind of different feedbacks that was positive, but I just, in the moment as it was happening, it was really hard to realize if it was a good thing or not.
Yeah.
And then kind of summer came, and it went some months. I was also doing other things, a lot of good things that came out of 2020 for me.
Yeah,
I was
also starting masculine stuff. Right?
I was also starting a masculine group. I call it Masculine 2020, which is kind of a group that where men meet to talk about the inner stuff and exploring that, and kind of being more in balance with yourself. And I'm doing that again this year.
Are you still calling it Masculine 2020?
No,
or are you upgrading the name?
2021.
Damn, son, that's fresh.
I was actually considering, should it just be 2020, like, for years? And I asked some other people about it, like, are you nuts? Like, of course not.
It's very confusing. It's like, is it now, or has it been? What's going on?
So I'm doing that this year as well, starting in April, I think, March, April. And then, so that's a long program where people meet over a certain time, and it's been really, really great.
Is it a cult?
It's not a cult.
Why would it be a cult? I would want to be in a cult. I always wanted to be in a cult, man. It sounds great.
Yeah.
It's a very loaded word, is it not?
It's a very loaded. That's what I think is beautiful with this kind of work. It is that it has, there's so many references towards kind of following ideas and principles and concepts, and we do that also with a lot of things we don't call cults in the world, but so maybe that's why it's so loaded in the first place, because we tend to not want to see it. But I think always in the work that I do now, it's the real key word is that I don't have anything to say or tell you. The only thing I can do is to kind of help you realize that, okay, where is my truth coming from? What is wanting to be expressed or created through me? There is not like following the answer outside of yourself. And that's the whole key point with everything I do, that how everything is so tied together, is that's the core of it all, that it's your world. And a lot of the things we are going through in the world right now, whether you like it or not, is to kind of learn what doesn't work. A lot of the things that we have tried to hold on to for so long, and
the things that we actually need to
Yeah.
let go of to
Yeah.
move forward.
So in what that actually means is that there's a lot of personal work that you have to do before you can really start seeing that shift outside of you as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is interesting how sort of like the plague and sort of like this, the world stopping up
Yeah,
was something that both you and I have sort of been internally, like you talked about, and now it's sort of happening externally. So it seems like we're ready to do sort of actually take it out into the real world and put our put ourselves to the test. Can we stay true to ourselves regardless?
Yeah, and that's it is a journey to kind of take away more and more layers of that, and yeah, as I was saying, is that all of that came to what is going on now in this thing. The first question you started asking, which is the Tuesdays every week.
Yeah, the meditation Tuesdays.
When I started doing that in April last year, I didn't do it completely alone. I had a friend who she makes music, and she did create some soundtracks that I used as a like MP3 file that I played in the background.
Yeah. Just set the mood and
So it was really
collaboration.
It's really powerful music she creates. It's so kind of helps you go deep and open up. And the combination of doing this together is like, because when we started again in December, but then we started doing it together because we had made some experiences. I've been trying to do this thing on Facebook. It didn't work. It worked, but it was kind of confusing as well. And I realized if I'm going to do it again, I want to be able to see the people and have the feedback. And then she also wanted to kind of do more of that music. And we decided to, what if we do it live, both of us, at the same time? And we invite people to a closed group that you cannot just pop in from Facebook. You actually have to decide, I want to be part of this.
Yeah,
I want
to commit.
I want to check out what it is.
Yeah.
This is. You don't need to like it or know for sure that you want it, but you have to make the conscious decision that I'm going to try and see what it is. Because when you just pop in because you see it's live on Facebook, like this show, a show is different. But it's like,
because you
in
actually
a meditation
require people
space,
to stay and get into sort of like this mode. Actually, the same thing does happen in this show for those who actually stay there, which I do every episode, is that we actually also get into a place because conversation also takes you somewhere, right?
Exactly.
But I wanted to say something which about this cult thing. You know, cult is where a leader just sort of pushes its truth on everyone else without actually listening to what the group has to say. Thus he becomes a dictator. Whereas when you move to Zoom, you turn it into a community. Because you saw the people, they could interact in a way more sort of level way than you sort of being the broadcaster and them
makes
sort
sense.
of just
and that's
getting your message without being a part of it. So in a sense, and I think what we all seek is sort of like a community, you know, like a group of people whom we feel comfortable being ourselves, not pretending like we are something that we thought that we should be because we read it on the backside of some newspaper back in 1995.
That also was interesting with meditation, like, because I'm still not sure about that word, to be honest.
The word meditation?
Yeah, because I'm not sure if that's what we do. It's like, just like cult, meditation also is a very, very loaded word.
Yeah, it is, that's true.
So, and I think we still don't, like, when I say we, I'm talking about me and my friend, Merete.
Yes. Who you do this together with. And now she's also live playing the music together with you.
We still don't know what we're doing, in the sense that this is kind of an exploration. It's and that's why it's magical every time, because every session is so different, depending on who is showing up. Not just in the conversation that, because after meditation is over, we have kind of a sharing. We can talk with each other and see what is going on. And
the sharing circle is very clear.
Yeah, very powerful.
Yeah.
And but the meditation itself, how it works is that I just sense into what needs to kind of come out. So there is no way I can plan it. It's impossible to plan it.
Just have to show up.
Yeah. And then I start speaking and something just happens. So, but that I kind of also connect with everyone in the space. So that's why it always fits the right pieces for everyone, because it's kind of collective creation.
Yeah, the group dynamic. It's very interesting how multiple people coming together creates this space outside of themselves, which is a greater whole. And when you speak into it, if you trust sort of like your inner sort of voice of it all, then it just fits perfectly. Yeah, that's very.
Yeah, so then you always, if you decide to come, you always will get what you need, because that's how it's designed. It's not. I'm not the designer of it. It's more like it's a collective thing. Like I'm just a mouthpiece of something, but there's so much going on underneath the surface. And also with the music, when me and Mariette is playing as well, it's like we never plan, but it's always in sync. Like it always fits, like because we're just tuning into each other.
It's very nice.
And it's really. If you asked me like 10 years ago if that would be possible, I would say no, could never happen. Like because it will be so far from my mind. I would be in the mindset that I should have planned everything out. Like
and then it would be in perfect sync, right? Yeah. Because you like at that exact moment, and then. Yes, the mind likes schematics and grids and systems and spreadsheets.
Yeah.
The heart has a different program running.
And that's why it's powerful, because it's like, I was thinking about this when I had some work where they had this meditation chair, like this massage chair, I mean, like the electronic massage chair. And you can go in there and you can lie down and relax, and you can decide to put on some meditation for relaxation in the chair. And I tried it just because I like meditations, and it was horrible. It was really, really horrible. And then after listening to that for a bit, I realized how loaded the word is and how different things it can mean. Because this was a script that someone had translated probably from English and then to Norwegian and then read out from the thing, and it's created to make your body relax, and it possibly do if you're only on that frequency, like you're only listening to that thing. But meditation is so much like, and I can't even explain it. It's more like when.
So it was like eating at McDonald's when you could have gone to a actual restaurant where people put love and care into making the food.
It's not even that. It's like licking the walls of McDonald's from the outside.
God damn it, I like that. Licking the walls.
This is kind of, that thing is just a script, like a mental program. Like this is designed to make you relax, and it's only pointing to your brain. Like these are thoughts. You should let them go, and then you can relax, and the body relax because I tell you to. But that's just like a so surface thing. It has no power, because to have power you need also to connect to the heart, so that you activates on the inside. It's nothing to. I'm not there to say how you're gonna relax. I'm just there to remind you that okay, if I poke your heart, something happens, and that's your design. It's not my design. It's your design, and then it just activates, and that's why you get everything that you need yourself. And
nice.
Yeah, it is kind of nice.
So that meditation is a loaded word.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I typically do when there is a word I want to explore. I go out into the dream and I ask my fellow dreamers, what's up? Do you meditate?
I guess not within the sense that the spiritual community might have.
But in your sense?
Yeah, because my work demands a degree of concentration and presence.
Do you meditate?
Meditate?
Yeah?
Yes, every day.
Every day?
Yes.
Not actually.
No? Why?
I think I didn't feel like any need for that.
Have you tried meditation?
I don't think so.
I don't meditate in the normal fashion. I don't have like a moment I set off to, you know, turn everything off and shut everything down now.
What is meditation?
It's like keep calm, relax, and didn't think about something like
Not to think of anything. I am so curious now. What is your work?
I'm a train driver.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
My God, that does sound like a very meditative state of mind.
It might be, and it, I guess, also it benefits, you know, the measures of safety that you need to have when you're doing that kind of work.
Because you need to be present.
Yes.
What do you do to relax?
like reading books or training or something like that, or like be with friends or.
That's not too bad either.
Yeah.
I do like a type of gradual meditation throughout the day, where I just try to keep it as peaceful around me, stuff like that.
I must be alone when I meditate. I can meditate with other people.
You cannot meditate with other people?
No, not me. Maybe other can do that, but I must be alone.
You must be alone?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, respect that.
So I have to do that today, 2 hours today.
2 hours?
Yes, alone.
Wow.
Yes.
That must take you to a very nice place.
Yes.
You seem very calm and centered.
Yes.
Calm and centered. Yeah, so that, my fellow dreamers had many opinions about...
that was beautiful to see.
Yeah, it was interesting enough. So it was horrible weather outside today. So I had to improvise and had Mark also give his 2 cents, which worked great.
Yeah, very
He's
good.
a great guy.
Yeah. Interesting to see. And that's what I think is when it's a loaded word, as we've spoken about. It means so many different things, and also there are so many different relationships to what it is for you, but also so many different ideas about what it is, how we actually do it or not do it, or so that's interesting. Like in the sense that one of the guys you talked to mentioned this concentration thing. That can be one form of meditation that you can really concentrate on. Like I could sit here and look into that candlelight. My eyes would probably be weird after a while, but I can shift my focus to just kind of rest in that, and that will kind of grab my attention to something, and it will open up the space in a certain way.
Yeah.
But it will also, as you can see, it will be something outside of me, taking me away from something. But it will still calm me down. Or I can look at a dot on the wall, and it will kind of help me also to calm down. So that's one certain thing. Or you can kind of focus on a symbol or a thing in your head, like in visualizing something. That's one kind of meditation. And there is this other kind of meditation, which is like just let everything be, like with just all the thoughts, just make them flow. And that's actually how I learned to meditate in the beginning. That was actually the first thing that actually ever had worked for me, because I had all these ideas that meditation is hard because you have to concentrate, or you have to stop thinking, or you have to get away all these thoughts, and it's so impossible because whenever I'm thinking about not thinking, I'm just thinking new thoughts about not thinking, and it doesn't work. So that was my beginning, and what actually started working for me was when I was sitting like that, and I allowed myself to realize that, okay, I cannot control the thoughts. I can only let them be what they are right now. And what happened then is that I'm sitting down. There are thoughts about things, and what should I have for breakfast this morning, or did I have too much coffee yesterday, or like how am I going to get my day done without stressing, or whatever. It can be anything, like work later or whatever it is. It can be all these different things that is kind of the overload of things you haven't really dealt with. Like so, but if you go to attack on that, it just screams out it louder, So when you sit and allow that to kind of just flow by, maybe that means that for 20 minutes you're just sitting there thinking about dinner that evening, or whatever it is. That can happen, but what actually mostly happens after a while is that you allow it to just, okay, I'm going on a train of thoughts somewhere. I'm not attached to that I need to think about it. But eventually I just let those different tracks go there. I'm not holding on to them. And suddenly you are in the silence. And then maybe in those 20 minutes you have 10 seconds of that glimpse of something. And that's enough to make that whole meditation worthwhile. Because you get the reference point that it exists something beyond the thoughts. And so the more, that's why it's easier and easier to do. So that's one kind of way that works for me when I started doing meditation. But what I'm doing now is very different, but maybe harder to explain or to understand the difference. And also especially in the group.
Well, I guess it's something you actually have to experience.
Yeah, it is an experience.
I like to call the silent place for the timeless space. Because whether it's 10 seconds or a billion years, who knows? Because it's just a very overwhelmingly powerful thing.
Yeah.
Which, even though just by talking about it, you notice that it's you're sort of semi-stepping in.
Yeah, you are going into something.
Where sort of the outside world just seems to slowly just fade away, and then until now where we are so focused that the only thing that exists in the entire universe is this, and then we are here.
Exactly.
And those reminders we need daily,
they are
hourly.
so powerful, those kind of small reminders. And then one image that I like to use is this kind of thing when you're actually going into another space or a deeper space within yourself. You can look at it that, okay, the outer world is kind of shrinking because your attention is moving in, but at the same time your awareness is moving out, so you're kind of expanding as well as you're balancing in yourself, and so it is, no matter what kind of meditation, no matter what kind of reference you get, most likely it really will help you so much from where we are right now, because just getting somewhere deeper is always giving you those kind of experiences. But what I was going to say is that that going even deeper than that, which is kind of easy once you realize it or experience it, is that still all of these things are all about, okay, calming your mind and getting inner peace and having clarity and getting rid of stress and mindfulness and all these kind of beautiful things. But they're still kind of just part of all these different things that will help you go inwards. But there is like an even deeper space that is kind of behind all of that. And you don't need to really work to get there. It's more like, and to me it's very different from talking about it as being one, because it's sort of like even the concept of being one is also just a freaking concept. So it's like, and all of these things is kind of, they can make sense and they can be good ideas, but it's just the more you experience that and you're coming to that place is where all the other stuff is kind of starting to come into balance again. Because the reason why all the chaos is here is because a lot of the spirituality is only kind of just a balance point to some chaos that you're struggling with. But you can even go like behind all of that again, and then you're.
Your life. You're trying to build your life as a structure, but you have to. There is a foundation. Now, the more unconscious of your, call it true self or your inner nature you are, the more fragile your structure, because if you're existing solely in the mind, your structure will be building a physical house out of brick that's fireproof, and I guess it's a bunker more because you need to be safe from this horrible world that you're in. And then, but as you slowly start sort of peeling off the layers of your very existence, you eventually will get to source, or you get sort of like to your core, which is all there is and ever will be. And once you know and feel that you are in connection with that, then you can start sort of aligning your layers upwards, and then actually seeing what does matter, what is important to me. So I guess from what you're saying, and it speaks to me, sort of like it's an opportunity to realign yourself instead of just sort of scratching the surface, trying to sort of figure out.
And the magical thing about it is that it's not really work. When you come to that point, it's not something you can. It's not something that you can kind of analyze or look in. It's not like it's nothing to do there. It's like just when you are in that space, that it's almost like I realize when I talk about it that it can always be like a new concept of a concept. But it's like
the moment you put words on it, man, it's
like
ruined.
The whole thing when you talk about going all the layers into existence, like existence is the only kind of first thing there is, you know. But it's then again it's like, okay, but what's the whatever it is behind that idea, you know, as well. Like, and it's not mental in terms of looking at it as concept or trying to understand it. It's kind of going all the way back to that and just realize, okay, that's some kind of natural power that creates, that is always coming through you. And when you just rest in that, it is kind of, you can feel everything else just moving into place. Like then it's not even about letting go of things in a traditional way anymore. It's like it moves into the right direction, and it's really powerful. And I realized I said so many words about it now, but it cannot really be words.
This needs to be experienced. Yeah. So you have to move this thing not to a Tuesday at 8 o'clock when I'm doing hip hop. You have to, or actually in the winter holiday. I think it's there's a break in the hip hop, then I'll be there. Yeah. You know, it is hard talking about things that sort of are metaphysical and sort of not quite tangible.
It is, and also it can be so many concepts. Like you can ask, what's the point of all this? Like, why do we even talk about it? And the reason why it's important or why it's useful is because the more you have that experience, the more you realize that part of yourself, then the more you bring it into your everyday life, so that you actually start getting more clarity also in your choices and also in the way you look at life and your priorities, but also that you have less and less kind of being pulled into different old patterns, old wounds, old kind of things, and that's why it's so powerful. And the more you get these kind of natural impulses from your heart or from your true self or whatever you want to call it, that leads you into the direction that is natural for you, not just kind of learned patterns that you have to or think you have to live out.
Yeah, you find your path. Yeah. You know, in the while sitting on the moon blanket, I talked about us sending this thing to Mars, Perseverance, this robot rover thing, and you know it's so impressive that we can together make a thing that can do this thing. But what's important to remember is that we ourselves can also travel inwards, like you speak about, and make amazing discoveries as to sort of our position in this great journey called life, not just sort of looking outside and say, oh, look at those people, oh, they're from Norway, so then I guess I'm partially sort of I can rejoice in these achievements, but what's really true is that we can all rejoice. You know, if someone makes a great achievement, regardless of what, for the betterment of humanity, that's just a win for everyone. Just like war is there are no winners in war. In sort of daring to make the world a better place. That is actually pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful how everything is connected, and also I really what you said is like because it always resonated so deeply with me. To try and travel inwards, like that the inner world is just as deep as the outer world, like going to the stars or whatever. There is like using these kind of images that there is a whole world inside is really powerful because you can start exploring. Exactly. And I also realized that my meditation journey of doing what I do now and guiding people is the more I understand about it and experience myself how it works. I also recognize that the way I do it shifts. Like in the beginning, I was more attached to the journey in the sense that I was doing it as a journey. I was speaking into the meditation as a journey. Like then we're going to explore this and we're moving here, and there was more like a physical journey. And I see how the more I understand of the process, the more it shifts into something else. It can still be these kind of places we explore on the inside, and I use images all the time, but it's not like this linear practical journey. You have to go this place and then there and then there. It's like now I see it more like I speak into the consciousness. I come these kind of ideas that I have to say, that's important to say now, like that, and then something happens, and it doesn't need to be. It can be more like a dream that shifts many places all the time. It doesn't have to be this specific journey. And I think that has to do with the way I understand it better, but maybe also the people that are part of the group. It always have different form based on who needs what.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is the perfect time for me to talk about something I've been doing lately, which has been I've been watching this show called Dispatches from Elsewhere. Now, because we have like cool intros, we're gonna run the Ulf Loves Movies intros first.
What's the name of the segment?
Ulf loves movies.
Ulf loves movies. Ulf loves movies.
I love movies.
Ulf loves movies.
I love movies, this is true, and I also like other forms of fiction. Also, I love books, but movies in particular, because there's something about these dead things coming to life through the putting all these frames together after each other and playing them off, and all of a sudden it's alive. Crazy. Just like a TV series. And I have been watching this show on Amazon Prime, which is called Dispatches from Elsewhere. Now, Dispatches from Elsewhere is based on a documentary that was made about this game someone put into real life in San Francisco in 2008 or something like that, where people through those papers hanging up on sidewalks where you can sort of like cat missing or whatever, they participated in different games lasting over a long period, where they should resolve a mystery about a missing person, creating a magical reality. And I think the intention behind the artist was sort of like having people lift their eyes up from looking at the ground or their phones and seeing the world around them and seeing the magical reality that is our reality instead of sort of not doing that. And now I think this actor named Jason Segel, either he participated in the game back then, but that made him want to make it into a TV show about this experience. But he takes it a step further, sort of blending reality and magical reality all into itself, which I really like. And before I talk more, I found that it would be perfect to show just the opening sequence of the first episode of the Dispatches from Elsewhere, and it sort of sets the whole thing up, and then we can talk some more. And now that I have your attention, I'll begin. Welcome. As you know, this entertainment is called Dispatches from Elsewhere, a title I assure you will have more relevance as the story progresses. Unless this is your first experience with a limited run episodic, which our records indicate it is not, then you're aware of the storytelling convention, which dictates that the filmmakers spend an unnecessary amount of time to introduce you to the protagonist, his occupation, the particularities of his life, and most importantly, the obstacles which stand in the way of his happiness. As the first of my many gifts to you, my friends, I propose we skip this convention and get on with what you came here for, the story. I propose I return to you 20 minutes of your life by reducing the standard introduction to a mere 2 minutes. This is Peter. Think of him as you. He is you if you lived alone and woke every weekday to your iPhone alarm still set to the default chime radar. Peter is you if you walk to work in the morning, which he neither enjoys nor does not enjoy. He never makes eye contact with his fellows and assumes his fellows never make eye contact with their fellows either. Peter is you if you worked a reliable job at a company which offers on-demand listening of over 2 million songs for a modest monthly fee. In addition, the company's innovative algorithm conveniently informs you of songs you will enjoy based on your prior listening history, saving you the hassle of unpleasant and unnecessary musical exploration. Peter is you if you walk the same route home as you did to work, only, as I'm sure you understand, in the opposite direction. He generally stops into his corner bodega to procure dinner, which often consists of packaged sushi with a small packet of brown liquid salt and spicy green putty. Peter is you if you ended your day in the same place you began it, with no change. Every day like the others, with the exception of meaningless and arbitrary deviation. Burrito instead of sushi, perhaps. And this is tragedy in its most quietly devastating costume. A life without risk, a life without real pain, a life without real joys. This is existing, not living, at least in my philosophy, and at the end of the day, that's all I've got. So my friends, I think we've got the idea. Now you know Peter. Squint your eyes, and Peter is you. Enough so at least, that I think we can jump right into the day something changes. I should like to confess now that I lied to you once, and only once, during my introduction. I can assure you, however, that I remain a reliable narrator. A reliable narrator. So Jason Segel has both directed, written, I think, and even stars in the film as Peter, a sort of disenfranchised guy who just goes to his job and finds life to be pretty meaningless. Until he stumbles upon this great adventure, where he meets up with other people and goes on adventures to find a missing person named Clara. But the question is it just a game or is it real? And what's an even greater and I think more pressing matter for us human is, does it really matter? Because life is, in a sense, a game. But if you play it at the level where it's so serious that you can't take any chances whatsoever of doing anything other than what you sort of feel like where the limitations of your reality, which is getting up in the morning, going to work, doing your work, going back home, and then sort of falling asleep, and then just doing this cycle repeatedly until the end of time.
But I think it's interesting, you know, what it comes to me when I speak about it is how, when I look back at my life, I have a certain point where I feel that my life started. And everything before that was just what is described.
That's a very good point. I hadn't thought about it myself, even though when I watched this the first time, I was like, this really hits me hard, but you're right.
But it doesn't mean
before and after.
It doesn't mean that my life looked that sad or that, you know, uniform or the same. It was because I was so sure I was living. I was following my dreams. I was building a company. I was doing all these kind of different things. Working in media, and I was the cool guy because I was involved in too many things at the same time, and I had no life outside of work, but I loved my work, so it was life in a sense. But when I look at it, also coming back to our earlier conversation, and this, it was still kind of licking the walls of McDonald's from the outside. But since I was so sure that I had the McDonald's store, there was no issue. But life started the day when I started discovering that, oh, my life is an adventure, and it's my adventure, and that could also be scary still, because but is that real, or is it just am I just making it up? Maybe I'm kind of losing it, you know, because I'm starting to see something I thought wasn't there before.
You know, I get a nice picture. I'm just going to interject. It was of you licking this McDonald's. And then all of a sudden realizing there's a door. And then realizing that you've been on the inside and walking outside, it turns out that there's a whole world outside. And it's not just the McDonald's that you can lick. You can lick a Dairy Queen or a Burger King or Subways. I don't know, it's limitless possibilities. But it was just something about this. Because I feel that too, you know, you're doing the grind, you know, you're putting in the work, and then you're thinking, if I just hold on a bit longer, this will be great.
Yeah.
And this and what I think is so great with Jason Segel's show is that this is all of us. And also, I'm not going to spoil anything, even though obviously I'm talking about the show. Jason Segel does something very brave, where he also dares putting himself, the real him, into this story, which I think was so brave and so impressive, because it's so easy, you know, to create this universe, this space, and then sort of act in it, and then go home afterwards. Well, going to work and going back again, but actually transcending that sort of wall, where you actually allow something that is not real, even though it is real, to become even more real. By allowing you to be vulnerable, by allowing to be true.
Tricky part of it, because when you are living in the real world, or at least you think you are, anything that potentially can change it must be either making it more real, like you say, but that's hard to believe if you already think you know what's real.
Or you got the McDonald's all lined up, you got the chairs over there and the counter over there.
Or it will be this kind of thing where you are afraid of losing it, because it doesn't look like the same as what you think is real. And that's can be so tricky. And I think that's what's going on right now, like we also talked about in the world. Like, there is so many things threatening what's real right now in the world, because we have the COVID lockdowns and all of that, threatening the reality as we like it to be, but also in that shift that we are going through, also all the ideas we believe in are threatened, because there is, and that's why the polarization comes up, where it is like anti this or pro this, or all this kind of discussion about vaccines or whatever.
Yeah, we need to figure out what's sort of like
truth and what's all that. It's perfect, because we need to have those questions. We need to ask those questions, because that's the only way we can get out of the rut, in a way.
Yeah, now you know, when you in the creative process, there is the yes phase, which is throwing these ideas out and then sort of see what that sort of gives us and propels us forward. Whereas if you're making something and they're just, we made this burger and people eat it, so we're just going to continue making this burger for all infinity.
And then someone comes with new ingredients, and then
what if happens if you put a pickle on it? And
no.
My God! Or if you put like pineapple into the Hawaiian burger, oh my God, that's crazy, insane!
And you're fucking up reality, and then the world isn't real anymore because you've lost control of it.
Yeah, but when did we start thinking, or when did I start thinking, or when did our society become so caught up in that we need to figure out what it is and not just allowing it to evolve? That's very strange.
Question. It's a good question, and I think that's where the power is. That in the second you realize it, and I don't think it's possible to realize it in all cases at once. It's a process you're going through, but in the second you realize that the power doesn't lie in winning an argument or convincing reality that it's supposed to be a certain way, but the power lies in connecting with yourself and saying, okay, what is true to me, and how do I expand my awareness of the world? And then you suddenly realize that truth completely contradicts that truth, but it doesn't really matter, because you are more than that. So whatever that is showing you, it can teach you something, and it doesn't need to be threatening each other. Whereas when we don't see that, we kind of feel pressured or feel obligated to pick a side, and then we lose completely focus on what's actually important to ourselves, because what becomes important is to kind of prove the truth or whatever it is.
You know, the last time I died, I had afterlife set up as follows.
For some reason, I don't even react to those kind of things anymore.
I had it set up so that when I came there, they were like, okay, so Piotr, which was my name, you won 1,576 arguments and you've lost 1,032, which puts you on the plus side.
How do you measure that?
So you won, actually, and that puts you... Now we have a ranking here of who won the most arguments during their lifespan. And you were right so many times. And then we all started laughing, because it was just a joke. It was all an elaborate joke, which I set up many millennia ago, where I said, at one point, just like do the whole keeping score thing, because I'm going to find that very amusing, because in that particular life, I'm going to be very like, okay, I won that one. Oh shit, I lost that one. Well, I hope I end up on top. And I think that's what I so often fail to see when I'm in an argument, is that this is getting us nowhere, because it's virtually just it's you and a friend build like a beautiful sandcastle, and then you start arguing about like where the spear on the left should be and where the gate should be, and all of a sudden you've just tore the whole thing down, and it's like, well, there is no sandcastle anymore.
There is so easy to be dragged in, and it's not just your kind of thoughts about it. Like you can have all these clear thoughts, like. But it's still, if you're actually going into that energy, or you start arguing about something, it's like you're getting sucked into.
Pulls you in, man.
Yeah, So that's why it's so tricky to have these kind of like Facebook arguments and things like.
Which
get
you've been doing a
involved in
lot
these days.
lately.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. It's it reminds me of a song, and this seems like a perfect opportunity for me to play a song about that feeling.
What's the feeling?
That's that feeling. I'm at a party I don't wanna be at, and I don't even wear a suit and tie yet. Wondering if I should sneak up the back. Nobody's even looking me in my eyes. So then you take my hand, finish my drink, say, shall we dance? Hell yeah. You know I love you, did I ever tell you? You make it better like that. Don't think I fit in at this party. Everyone's got so much to say. I always feel like I'm nobody who wants to fit in anyway. But I don't care when I'm with my buddy, yeah. All the bad things disappear, and you're making me feel like maybe I am somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my rubber, yeah. Cause I don't care as long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere, and you're making me feel like I'm loved by somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my baby, yeah. We at a party we don't wanna be at, trying to talk but we can't hear ourselves. See your lips, I'd rather kiss them right back. With all these people all around, I'm crippled with anxiety. But I'm told it's where I'm supposed to be. You know what? It's kinda crazy but I really don't mind. You make it better like that. Don't think we fit in at this party. Everyone's got so much to say. When we walked in, I said I'm sorry, but now I think that we should stay. Cause I don't care when I'm with my buddy, yeah. All the bad things disappear, and you're making me feel like maybe I am somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my buddy, yeah. Cause I don't care as long as you just hold me near. You can take me anywhere, and you're making me feel like I'm loved by somebody. I can deal with the bad nights when I'm with my buddy, yeah. I think specifically, trying to talk, but you can't hear ourselves. That's the chat rooms of the world, where it's just we can't really hear each other because we're not listening.
That's a good point.
And we're just looking for like, well, what are you with me or are you against me? Like, want to get the facts straight, and we want to get to the bottom of this. And I think it's so brave of you to actually daring to seek out the bottom in terms of self-exploration through meditation, through being present, through actually daring to listen to your intuition, because intuition. What's that all about? What's that mumbo jumbo? That has no value.
So much more, and I think that's such a good point, because also all the arguments, I think it's interesting with the arguments, because at the start, like you can see now in the world right now, we have these certain situations, and I think the polarization that comes from that has nothing to do with the facts, because we tend to like to make them about facts, or we have all these fact checks, and we have all this kind of, how do we actually
true or false,
and who is right and who is wrong, all of that. Like with the vaccine, for instance, it's like the discussion can be something like this. Like, one person are convinced it's a good idea, one person are absolutely convinced it's a bad idea, and one person just has like a bad feeling about it but isn't sure. So the person that are convinced it's a good idea puts everyone that isn't in the same category in the other ones, and it's like we put each other in all these categories without seeing that, and then we start arguing about facts around the details, but it has nothing to do with the facts. It has to do with the kind of the zero, like a core feeling about the thing. And that's where, if you go into an argument with facts, it has nothing to do with the discussion at all. There's also, like, when I'm going into these discussions, I've been wondering so much about this, because why do I even care? Like, why do I even care? Like, is it because I'm not trying to win the fight?
Let us entertain.
But also, it's like this. Like, I've been pondering this so much because I have different kind of perspectives on it. Like, because one part of me realizes that I don't care. I can just shut up and say nothing, and
I don't care.
And then there is another kind of part of me that realized that but I also need to say something, because something wants to be expressed.
I think
and I'm not looking for.
That's you talked about this so beautifully about your meditation groups. Is that you actually realize that you have to say something because that's sort of what the group needs right now. And I think, and this is next level shit, is actually daring to do the thing we're putting out there, something that sort of creates friction within this very polarized reality, where there is obviously a very right and a very wrong, and there are no space for something in between, and it's not helping anyone either way by just sort of knocking each other over the head with facts, because we're beyond facts at this point. We need to actually stop.
That's true.
And I think what you are doing is that you are expressing into the group something that needs to be expressed, but it's hard because no one's liking the message. Because why couldn't you just? Couldn't you just couldn't you be a vaccine supporter or a vaccine denier or a hater? And then it's like, but I'm neither of this. And then it's like, no, you have to be something, because this is a war between ideologies.
That's why it's important that at least for me, I can only answer for me. Like when I see myself, because of course I can get lost in this kind of thing, like get sucked into it, and then I have to stop and realize what's going on. I try to defend myself in a case that I don't really care about, because I started writing based on one kind of thing I wanted to express.
Yeah.
And then if you get sucked into it, you start kind of defending answers to other kind of things that people put on you. And if you try to defend yourself for the labels that people put on you, or the facts that they poke back to you, then in my case, if I start getting into that, I've lost why I started speaking in the first place.
Yeah.
And then the more I see that, and the more I can take the conversation back to what my point was, that okay, there is more here. There is not like just this or that. And the more then I see that the energy starts to kind of slow down again, and the silence kind of, then there's no ping pong anymore. At least it goes slower. People has to stop and think through what I answer, and kind of something shifts. It's not like that everything shifts and all is gone. It's not just like something happens. But I also think that it's very beautiful the way we put it, that when you feel something has to be said, it's a very big difference between being in complete reaction to something and actually realize I'm speaking because I have something to say.
Yes,
but
it requires an enormous amount of presence and being grounded when you're speaking directly from something deeper than just your reactive self.
Yeah.
And I think like back to why to use the very groupy word meditate is to become more present, so that you can actually maneuver in the real world with more grace and compassion.
Yeah.
Because you see past this sort of layer of conflict, which is and will always be just the outer layer of hurt and pain and suffering and ages of different weird things that we've been doing to each other.
Yeah.
I was going to say something really smart, but it slipped my mind.
It will come back.
It will come back to me. Yeah. Now I realized it was the most important lesson I learned on being on plant ceremonies is that all of a sudden you feel like screaming out, or you have all these feelings that you have to express. But there's 20 people in the room, and all of a sudden you're shouting, or like I did, singing children's songs, and then maybe that'll annoy someone else in the room, because I'm trying to do some quiet work over here, and you're making a lot of noise. But that's exactly what that person needed right then.
Yeah.
Because if that triggers you, that is something you actually need to look into, and this is true in all cases, in all levels of reality. It's sort of like, you always think that this noise that I'm getting now, I don't want this noise, so make it go away. That's not why the noise is here. The plague didn't come here for us to get rid of it. It came here for us to evolve and to listen. Obviously, it's hard listening to viruses because they speak a very strange language and all of that. Yeah. But it's
so true. Like, I want to add something on top of that, which is my experience.
Layer that cake.
Which is my experience from plant ceremonies. Very related to needing to express yourself. It's like both in screaming out loud and in laughing out loud, like in pain or in pleasure or release. It's like I've experienced that both of them is that I'm being inside of this bubble where I feel I cannot express myself here because there is something I don't want to disturb anyone. And so when there was an expression of fear or anger or pain, when I started doing that, the rest of the room also dared to do that, like. And the same with laughter or release. It's like when I started, I remember one of the most important like ceremonies that I've now, it's a long time ago I was to those kind of things, but one of them I had this huge like release of just laughter, and I started laughing, and the whole room was kind of waking up to laughter. Like everyone started laughing, and it was like this whole magical experience for the whole room. And before that happened, I was sitting there. No, I cannot be the happy guy. So it's so important to those kind of signal or impulses are there for a reason, and we are not separated. We are part of an energy that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, the Mars machine has landed now, looking at the blue marble, which is just a dot, and it's like, it's just a friggin' dot. You're a friggin' dot. It's like looking at a grain of sand and being like, and you are arguing about what? You're just a grain of sand. Perspective.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, we were going to talk about coaching, but I see that we are sort of getting.
It's maybe another time.
That's maybe it's like that's for another time, because I think. What do you think, Mark? Is it? It's not. We don't need to push this rock any further up the mountain. It's just going to roll down again. God damn it!
Yeah.
That will be for another episode.
That's another episode.
Initially, when you were going to come on the show, you were going to talk about this new podcast.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So we can.
But you're not talking about it.
I'm not talking about it because it's not launched yet. It was supposed to launch on Sunday, but I'm waiting. So I'm waiting for probably 1 or 2 weeks. And it's not. I think it's not the time to talk too much about it. I can mention what it is. That is a new podcast that will come. It will be very connected to what I do. Both working with men and also working with meditation and these kind of things, also with coaching, helping people one-on-one. And all these things all tied together, and the podcast is a way also to get introduced to all these kind of topics when it's
making
ready.
It available for the masses. Yeah. That's very sweet of you.
Yeah.
When it's ready.
When it's ready.
In due time, but I guess you will promote this on the interweb, and we will post it on the WakeUp Show page, you know, and also for people wanting to check out your meditation.
Yeah, that was what I was saying.
I think it's it's linked in the text right next to this thing that we are in. It's like
so it's every Tuesday. The link in the event now is for next Tuesday. It's in English. Every second week it's Norwegian, English.
Oh, so you're sort of switching in between.
Yeah. And also, if you're not Norwegian, you can still come to the Norwegian one and do the meditation, because it's still working. So
meditation is meditation. Now, you know, at the end of the show, I do this thing where I take my daughter's iPad, search the internet far and wide for a quote that I think applies to the theme and the things that we've talked about in this episode. Obviously, this is also an episode, so it seems perfect to do that now as well, right? Yeah. Now that this, I looked at a few now, and I think this one.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Wow.
Now, so I want you to read this one, and I want to read it into this camera over here.
Should I show it or just read it?
You read it with feeling and into the camera, like really put your heart into it. So that I know you can do that.
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make the change.
I like what he did with the hand. They're like taking it to its heart.
That's where it starts.
That is where it starts. Yeah. Also where it ends, because technically you will die. It will never die.
say that too.
Relax. It's just this fun thing we do. And it's pretty amazing. But obviously, I'm not going to be the one to spoil the whole thing. I promised. Pinky promised not to tell. But no one's keeping score. That is pretty apparent by now, is it not? No one's keeping score. Ever. It's timeless. It's endless. It's lovely. It's a piece of paper that says patreon.com/The WakeUp Show, where you can become a patron and support the show. And well, we're going to San Francisco. How would you not want to see how that's going? Whenever it's happening, but that obviously relies on you pitching in, because it's a team effort. Just like Robert said, we have to work together, you know. Be a team. Be a patron. Be a wake-up person. And to all my patrons, I love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting the show, and check out the newest episode of the ULF Experience. And now that I have an editor, we can actually finish all these episodes that we've been filming, because I am editor no more. I am talk show host.
So what's happening with the episode I was in? Is it still going to be used?
I don't know. Do you want it to be aired?
If there is a natural ending to it?
Yeah.
From exit?
That's an interesting question. If we manage to, there are material from when Robert was a part of this thing. We shall see. We shall see. You know, Mark, he is sort of like head of editing now, and you have to sort of, well, throw some money his way or something to make your wish come true. But to you non-patrons, I love you too, and Robert, from the bottom of my heart, which is bottomless, by the way. I love you, man. Always have. Always will. And thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I look forward to having you back.
Thank you for having me.
In the
it's
future.
Been a pleasure.
And you requested I play a song. Also have to say, Mark, I love you, man. Thank you so much for hanging out there in the basement with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Pushing the buttons and doing your magic. You did this, which looked very magical. Now, you requested a song, and then I remember the lyrics somewhat, but I should have rehearsed it. It's a beautiful song.
It is.
It's a beautiful song, and it's so true, right? Yes. Yes. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time. And to all my viewers, remember next Thursday, a new episode of the Wake Up Show. Every Thursday, 10 p.m. from the Dream. Simple and clear. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear. So simple and clear. There's a feeling inside, so deep and so wide, so open and free. When love is revealed, all beings are healed so naturally. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear so simple and clear. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. Now where's the second verse? There it is. Let your heart show the way forever to stay in the circle of friends. Let your heart be your guide to lead you inside where love never ends. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. When love overflows, you can only let go and be swept out to sea. This journey will end where it started, my friend, in the heart's mystery. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. When you let go of fear, the truth will appear, so simple and clear. Run the outro.